Welcome to Tequila and Terror, a paranormal and true crime podcast where we will drink tequila and tell terrible tales. My name is Keisha and I will be telling paranormal stories, and Wes will be covering the true crime.
And thanks everybody for listening. This is our first episode, so we hope that you like everything.
And that it works out well.
Yeah, maybe. You never know. We've been drinking, so I guess we'll see how this goes.
Are you ready?
I guess I'm ready. Maybe. Who knows?
All right. What are you covering today?
I've got the story about Barbara Olson. She was a grandmother who lived in this town of Sheboygan Falls, Wisconsin.
Sheboygan?
Sheboygan. Hey, I'm not known for my proper English.
Sheboygan?
Sheboygan. She was well liked in the community and by her church. She enjoyed playing the piano, scrapbooking, traveling, and was a fan of the Green Bay Packers. Just pretty much all the grandma stuff.
I didn't know grandmas liked sports.
Cool grandmas do. I never had a cool grandma.
My grandma's never liked sports.
Really?
Mine like cross-stitched.
Well, I'm sure Barbara liked cross-stitch too.
Okay. Let's just go ahead and assume that she really liked to cross-stitch.
I bet she did. She
was
like a nice
into
lady.
that. She was a good granny. Yeah.
On a quiet afternoon, September 2012, she was surprised when she found her great-grandson, Antonio Barbo, and his friend Nathan Papa in her garage. So she did the good grandma thing and invited them into the house. They followed her into the house, and I'm sure she was thinking about making cookies or whatever grandmas do. But when she turned her back, her grandson Antonio bashed her in the head with a hatchet. Then his buddy Nathan pulled out a hammer. Both of them had concealed weapons on them, and he started hitting her in the head with a hammer. Barbara tried to defend herself. She was screaming. The first blow didn't knock her unconscious, so she was pretty much trying to fight for her life.
Oh, man.
Yeah. After that, she was just, it was a horrible scene. Can you imagine your grandson beating you in the head with a hatchet?
No.
After a few strikes, the hatchet got stuck in her head. So Antonio and Nathan had to pull it out of her head. After that, she was still alive, still fighting.
Oh, God.
So, that's pretty horrible. Sick little kids. These are 14-year-old kids doing this.
I can't even imagine.
So that's pretty messed up. And so she's still alive. Antonio bashes her in the head a couple more times. Now that Barbara was dead, they start ransacking her house for valuables. They searched her purse. They took some loose change. They took some jewelry. Even took the watch off her wrist. So Barbara lost her life for $155.
Man.
That's pretty...
I can't even imagine.
Little shitheads. I'm pretty sure we can say shit.
Let's assume...
that we can say shit. This may be bleeped.
Little turds.
Yeah. After they rummaged through the house, they had plans on putting her body in the trunk of the car, but they're two 14-year-olds, and we don't know if Barbara was fat or not. I couldn't find pictures of her. She could be a chunk.
We have no idea of her body composition. We apologize. We did not research that thoroughly.
But
we researched everything else thoroughly.
They couldn't carry her to the car without hurting her backs.
Well, are these like little twin, like
they're pretty
little
puny
babies?
looking, yeah. They look like little...
I can assume, never done a day's of hard labor in their life.
Definitely not.
Okay. They weren't good old Southern boys.
No, they're from Sheboygan. So, I don't think they've ever... Well, it's probably the first time they used a hatchet was on Grandma.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so...
Oh, Lord. Oh,
But anyway, they try to drag Granny to the garage and toss her in the car, and they can't.
Oh.
So they just leave her in a garage. So they take the axe and the hammer and throw that in the trunk of the car, and they take off towards town. They stash the car at the local bowling alley, and they set the car up to look like somebody had stole the car and did the job. They were hoping that somebody would come by and take the car and then get framed for the murder. They left the keys in the ignition. They left jewelry on the seat.
Okay, I'm concerned because these children are 14.
Yeah.
So they apparently know how to drive a car and are demented enough to bash Grandma in the head. Like, who at 14? I can't process this.
It's pretty crazy. I mean, she was expecting it, I guess. I mean, I guess she was surprised to see him in the first place, but I'm sure she wasn't thinking they were going to bash her in the head.
Yeah, I mean, family visits all the time. They just show up and they're like, hey, do you have food? Because I'm hungry and I was in the neighborhood, you know?
Yeah, that's
a little teenage boy. They show up sometimes. You feed them and you let them loose.
Yeah. But, I mean, I guess they were hungry because after they left the bowling alley, they went to get some pizza.
Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, nothing makes me hungrier than killing Grandma.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
It's
nothing I love more, Wes.
Yeah, work up a real appetite.
Lord.
But after they ate pizza, they bought pot, which is really just kind of a screwed up order of things.
Yeah.
You think you would buy the pot first and then eat the pizza.
Well, maybe they bought the pizza and took it to go.
They probably did, because along the way back home, they were done. They ditched some more of Barbara's stuff. They tossed her purse down a drain. Sorry. And then they were walking back, and they realized the car was still at the bowling alley. So I guess it took them a while by eating pizza, smoking some weed, walking back. So they went back to the car, wiped all the fingerprints.
We're just assuming, by the way, all of their actions on the, order of smoking the pot and eating the pizza.
We know that they...
We're filling in the holes here.
They did buy pot.
Well, no, but...
And they did eat pizza.
But did they
people seen them there.
Smoke the pot?
Yeah, they smoked the pot.
Oh, okay.
That's,
Well, I
Antonio.
don't know if they just, stashed it in their pocket real quick and
they smoked.
planned on it for later.
I'm sure they got high.
Okay.
But they went and wiped the fingerprints off the car. Then the two of them went home. Antonio went and stashed the bloody clothes at his house.
Jesus.
And Nathan took his bloody clothes and put them in his house along with Barbara's watch. So we're working with a couple of bright ones here. Barbara's daughter, she hasn't heard from her mom all day. I mean, she's an older woman, so she was starting to get suspicious. I mean, she hasn't called her to take her to the doctor, pick up her pharmacy pills, all that stuff that old women like to talk about.
Or just to check up on her.
That's
I talk to my mom every day.
Every day?
Every day.
Must be a weird relationship you have with your mother.
I talk to my dad every day, too.
That's weird.
We like each other sometimes.
Yeah. But since she didn't hear from her mom, she went to the house and she started poking around the garage, and that's when she seen her mom laying dead on the floor there.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. That's a heck of a way to find her.
Yeah.
But so she called the police and the EMTs thinking that she had first had an accident. But as they investigated, they realized it wasn't an accident and that she was dead, so there wasn't much more they could do.
Oh, my God.
But luckily, since we weren't dealing with very smart criminals here, it took the police less than 12 hours to figure out who did it.
Man.
Because the bright ones here had his mom drop him off a block away from Granny's house.
Of course.
Yeah. And the mom didn't know anything about it. So
I'm sure she just assumed, this is a normal thing. Him hanging out in Grandma's neighborhood. He has friends in the area.
Well, that's what they said, that they dropped him off to at a friend's house. And then they walked over a block to kill Granny.
I'm assuming this is a safe neighborhood. My mom lives in the neighborhood. Let's just go ahead and drop him off. He'll be fine. Just riding bikes or doing whatever, Typical teenager stuff. Killing Grandma.
Yeah, just a fun Saturday afternoon. But the police, they started talking to Nathan, not even a formal investigation yet. They were just questioning him because they knew that he was in the neighborhood. And as soon as they questioned him, he squealed immediately. And when he did that, he threw Antonio under the bus. So the police then go search their houses, and they find the stolen purse, they find their bloody clothes, and they find the wristwatch in Nathan's house. So at this point, they're screwed.
Yeah.
So 4 days after the murder, the prosecutor charged both of them as adults with first-degree intentional homicide and set the bail at $1 million. So Antonio entered a plea of not guilty by mental defect or disease because he said a car wreck left him developmentally disabled. Did I say it?
Developmentally, yes.
Developmentally.
Yes. Wes has some issues pronouncing words properly sometimes. Developmentally.
There we go. That's pretty close. That's as close as I'm going to get it. He was screwed up in the head.
Yeah, he was messed up. He's toe up from the flow up. Is that still a saying?
No, it's not. Please don't say it again. Let's just pretend like that never happened.
Okay. I am elderly.
You are. It's already past your bedtime.
I try to act like I'm cool and it doesn't work.
But after that, Nathan also entered a plea of not guilty, saying he was pressured by his friend to commit the crime.
Well, of course. Neither one of them wants to admit that they're the reason why it happened.
But about a year went on, and the trial date got closer. Antonio changed his plea to no contest as part of a deal with the state. So he pled guilty to the murder in exchange for a sentence of life, but parole eligibility. So he'll be able to get out on parole in 35 years when he's 50. So they gave him a plea deal in exchange for testifying against Nathan.
Yeah.
Which was probably a good idea because it seems like Antonio, as we go on a little bit, seems like he was the one that really kind of pressed the idea. And they knew already that Nathan was going to try to throw him under the bus. So that was probably his only chance of getting a lighter sentence.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a shitty move, but they're shitty people. And yes, we still think we can say shit. We just have to be good these first few episodes.
Crappy move. Yeah. Crappy people.
We can drink more booze and say more bad words later. We promise. We have to be coherent. I don't even know if we can talk about this right now. We probably shouldn't even talk about the rules.
Yeah, you should probably edit that out.
No, I won't, but we should. They just don't exist. But anyway, they both were pretty crappy people. As the trial date, let's see, I talked about that. But anyway, Nathan's attorney, Nathan's trial went to jury. He couldn't get a plea deal, which, why would they give him a plea deal too? But anyways, Nathan's trial went to the jury. Antonio testified against him. Nathan said that Antonio came over to the house after he got home from school, and they sat in a room and played with G.I. Joes and Pokemon, and
actual normal 14-year-old boy stuff.
They didn't.
But, like, you would assume that would be a normal action.
Yeah, instead, he says Antonio came with a hatchet and said, hey, let's go kill my grandma. You're going to watch.
Lord Jesus.
Nathan pretty much tried to play it off as, I didn't have anything to do with this. I was just there. He said that Antonio had threatened to hurt him if he didn't help.
Of course.
Which doesn't really make any sense. But who knows, really? I mean, they're kind of pitting each other against each other, so you don't know what the truth is. Antonio told the court that the weekend before the murder, that they both talked about going over and robbing his grandma to get money. They said on the day of the murder that they planned on robbing her, and they would do whatever they had to get the money, including killing her. So I really kind of believe Antonio. I mean, he says this. He's got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
I don't see why he would lie at this point.
He's already gotten.
Yeah.
Like, he's already going to be in prison.
For 35 years at least. So.
I mean, until he's, halfway through his life or more, depending on age of death. But
Nathan just really seems like he was a slimy little shit.
Yeah.
Even pretty much Antonio said that. Nathan said that he thought Antonio was joking about the murder, and Antonio came back and told the prosecutor, I never said it as a joke. So that's pretty cold-blooded. He's like, no, we talked about killing her, and that's what we were going to do. So, I
I
mean,
can't even imagine being the kind of person that's like, oh yeah, no, we said we were going to kill my grandma.
yeah, so yeah, that's...
Sorry.
The trial went on. Nothing really was working for Nathan. The medical examiner came in, and he gave pretty crushing testimony. Let me find this here. The medical examiner testified that Barbara had been struck 27 times with both sharp and blunt objects. So that proves right there that Antonio had the hatchet, Nathan had the hammer, so they could tell by the wounds that both kids hit her.
Yeah.
And the evidence showed that Nathan had a hammer. He admitted to having a hammer. So it said the entire courtroom fell dead silent when the photos of Barbara's body flashed on the screen. It said deep wounds to her head, face, and arms were even enough to make the hardened law enforcement officials look away. The wounds on her arm were indicative of defensive wounds, meaning that she tried to defend herself while these two 14-year-olds hit her with a hammer.
Can you even imagine? I'm going to say this so many times and I apologize, but can you even imagine being that grandmother, like just expecting, like, oh, okay, my grandson is here. All right, he brought a friend. And then all of a sudden they're attacking you and you don't know what the heck is going on.
Yeah.
Like, you think you're just going to see your grandson and his friend and everything's honky-dory. And then all of a sudden you're dying.
It's pretty crazy.
It's insane. I can't even imagine.
For $155 so they could buy pizza and a little bit of weed.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have done anything. She would have probably gave them the money.
Yeah.
But after that testimony, Nathan didn't have a chance. It was a short trial, and the jury's reaction pretty much told everything they needed. He was sentenced to life, but with a possibility of parole. Because they were both juveniles, they said that they couldn't get a life sentence without the eligibility of parole.
Yeah.
So
that is insane to me.
Yeah, so he will be eligible for parole on his 45th birthday. The case is currently being appealed because they were both juveniles being tried in an adult court. So they're trying to weasel out of it.
And they deserve to be tried as adults, though.
Yeah, I mean, they've premeditated the murder.
Act like you make an adult decision, you get punished as an adult.
Yeah,
That's the way I see it.
It's pretty cruel. I mean, you just don't do that. I don't know any 14-year-olds who would just do that. I mean, that one kid claimed that he was screwed in the head, and I agree that he's messed up in the head.
I mean, you have to be screwed in the head to do something like that, though.
And I really think Nathan is the worst one in this, because not only... He didn't even really admit to having any part of the crime. So I think they should just took them both out back and shot them.
I'm not that violent.
Or okay, take them out back and bash them in the head with a hammer and a hatchet.
I would rather people, have to deal with their own thoughts for eternity and be punished and be miserable forever.
So do the man in the iron mask and just come in and beat him with a whip every year?
Or just really hard labor every single day for the rest of your life. Make you hate your life.
Yeah, that might work too. But also just take him and shoot him would make me happy. I don't know. I just hate the kids, really.
Yeah.
But, well, this was our first story, so hopefully somebody out there listens to it. This one's kind of short. We don't really have a format planned out yet. I'd say we don't. Keisha has a format in mind, and I just kind of said no.
As per usual, you were just like, no, let's do my thing.
It's important that we get these first few episodes done now.
Yeah.
And then we can work on everything else. But hopefully somebody listened. I don't know. Maybe our moms.
I hope my mom doesn't listen. My mom will be terrified. I don't even think she knows what a podcast is.
That's true. Mine doesn't.
Literally,
either.
my mom was like, okay, do you make money with it?
No.
I was like, I mean, hopefully one day.
The money
if you want to sponsor us, yes, please. But.
Oh, yeah. If you have money that you want to give us, we like pizza and booze. And Mexican food. Margaritas.
I mean, we accept payment in donations. Donations. We accept donations in the form of alcohol, food, gift cards to Chili's.
Not Chili's. Lazari's. Uh-oh, we just triangulated our location.
We did.
Sorry. Okay, well, that's enough of that. Well, thank you for listening if you did. If not, well, tough. Bye.